From a recent article from the Daily Mail, we're expected to see Gareth Southgate's name on this year's New Year's Honours list. The ex-England manager is going to be getting a knighthood. And today I want to show what Gareth has contributed to England. The fact that, yes, he has no silverware to show why he's receiving this knighthood, but more this kind of revolutionised England side, you know, how he's revolutionised it with Dan Ashworth, who's now formerly at Manchester United, and why they've changed it for the better. In my opinion, they've set things up beautifully for Thomas Tuchel, who's such an experienced coach. I'm glad to have him on board. They've set things up for him, and you know, there's more than enough reasons now as to why we should be winning the silverware when we go into that next major tournament. I am recording this at night, super new to you know, back on YouTube and recording things again. I have done things on a previous channel of mine before, so yeah, apologies if the light is shocking. I'll soon find that out on the editing side of this. This is the footy agenda, and let's talk Southgate. Now, Gareth joined the England FA as an under-21s manager back in 2013. He'd recently done a coaching gig at Middlesbrough that saw them get relegated, and that led Southgate out of a job. During his time as Borough manager, Arsene Wenger stated Gareth to be good enough to manage the England national team. Despite whether you do think if he's a good manager or not, in this video we're going to be talking about his impact in the England FA, like I was saying in the intro, in his complete England tenure. From the 11 years that he was there, we're going to be looking at that kind of mindset he adapted in that time and brought in his kind of England visionary, and using the two key words in this video, the England DNA. When Southgate joined, he was extremely keen to work with Dan Ashworth. They wanted to create a new vibe together, a new mood for this England setup. They ultimately wanted to make footballers enjoy playing for England again. You know, it's been very dull pre-2012 and certainly dull to between 2012 probably up until we had Southgate as manager in that senior team. But this process was a long process. You know, things weren't going to happen overnight. They knew that. All the coaches knew that as well. There had to be work to be done here, and that kind of work was having everyone involved. You know, there wasn't anyone left out in terms of the coaches. You know, and when Southgate was the under-21 manager in 2013, he was in the main meetings with Dan Ashworth, along with Roy Hudson, who was managing the senior team at the time. And all youth coaches worked together to build this kind of New England identity, in terms of the way they played, the way they set up, the way they pressed the ball, the way they scout talent and identify success in a player. You know, this was all important and seriously made England who they were. They were making this complete new England DNA that we hadn't seen before. Everyone shared a level-headed image as to what was needed to achieve success and what attitude they wanted these players to possess as well. Gareth went to every single one of these meetings and he wanted to be treated as just another colleague. He didn't want to be treated as an ex-England player. He travelled around academies and formed relationships with the players, and he continued to even do this when he became England's senior team manager. Now let's refer back to what the plan was in the first place. It is to win silverware. You know, to win the World Cup as such. You know, since 1966 we haven't won any type of silverware in that senior men's team. And for the nation that made football, it's embarrassing. You know, we've got other countries laughing at us, and it isn't the England way. And they knew that. Everyone knew that. That England shared vision and DNA was to involve everyone. You know, it was togetherness. And that included the under-17s, the under-21s. It wasn't just about the senior team. You know, the attention and the spotlight was on all three of them kind of categories. In the eyes of Gareth and Ashworth, these young boys would be the ones to play in that idealistic World Cup final. They'd be the ones to hopefully lift the cup at the end of it. And they wanted them kind of players for that. No one kind of got disregarded. Of course, if an injury came your way or a loss of form all of a sudden in a single player, it would be considered. But they would certainly have prepared or planned Gareth and Steve Holland if that day was to come. Gareth was on board with this. You know, he wanted to do all these kind of necessary steps to make this new kind of identity in the England DNA. He insisted on England leaving the Home Shield tournament, which is a kind of tournament played for the younger team, the under-17s, It's played in Great Britain and only played amongst the teams that originate in Great Britain. So you've got your Wales, you've got your Scotland, Ireland, and what have you. Instead, Gareth wanted the under-17s to go overseas, play the likes of Germany, France and South Africa, go up against that tougher opposition, get these boys knowing what it is like to be overseas and not on home turf for such a long period of time. And it was also about getting used to tournament football, getting used to working your way through a tournament tree, getting used to the extra time, getting used to the penalties and all the stresses that kind of came with it. And overall, it's about adapting, and making them into players who will thrive off tournaments. And I think that's why we're seeing the England team to this very day, who, they're kind of cruising through these tournamentaries now. They're getting all the way to the final, or they're getting all the way to a semi-final. It all starts from many moons ago, and they knew that, this is the necessary plan. And you kind of hope from this point onwards, under Tuchel and under his powers, we can get that silverware. That is the prize. And like I said, everyone worked on the basis that these boys will be playing in that senior tournament. They will be there in years to come. The ones who are in the under-17s now, that same belief is still within the England setup. They will be the ones to then play in a final. And that's why we're getting Lee Carsley involving Angel Gomez in one of the recent call-ups. Now, what only feels like a few years ago now, it's quite a long while. In 2019, England won the Under-17s World Cup, and that was with the likes of Phil Foden, Mark Gay, Conor Gallagher, all being involved in the success there. Steve Cooper was the one who was in charge to get them that trophy, and he created that togetherness and a good spirit, and he was all on board with that due to the communication from Southgate and Ashworth. He created all of that together. To certainly be creating some important momentum going forward, and that same momentum would continue strong through the years later on, as we've seen in this summer's Euros tournament. We made it to the final. Yeah, we didn't get the silverware, but the momentum is certainly thriving. It's existing, and it's made and created many moons ago. But that's what it's about. It's a longevity plan, and that momentum is there in the first place, and they winning competitions like that and having that kind of same squad and that the same people you're seeing in them tournaments win that trophy. They're the ones who can make it happen years later. And ultimately as well, you've got a team that's gelling together. They're a team that are playing football. They're playing in the type of style you want them to play, because they all had a shared vision in how they would also play football. So nothing would be unordinary when you step up from the 17s to the under-21s. Everyone knows the style of play. That's an England identity that they made. And also, Gareth's work in terms of his coaching, whether you think he's a good coach or not, he's put the effort in making sure his kind of coaching abilities can be there to kind of train these players up to be who they are, to work in that kind of England DNA. And Steve Cooper also states Gareth to be extremely selfless. He wants to put the players and the success of the team first. But we shouldn't get fooled by this kind of easy sailing, if you like, for the players. It was not easy sailing. It was hard playing for England, and it still is to this day. Gareth was making this team into a powerhouse. When he become the senior manager, he was only insisting on that kind of them tougher opponents to be available for England in the friendlies. He wanted the Germanys and the France, just like previously when he was the under-21s manager. He wanted the players to realise that feel of stress and pressure. And like I was saying earlier, this isn't an unknown feel for them by now. This is something that they would have felt and experienced in them youth level tournaments. And Southgate knew that. And not just the coaches, but the players knew what was happening, and they took it on. They wanted that task of becoming this new identity, the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, loads of others too. They were all about this process with Gareth, and they've gone along with this process with Gareth. We have Gareth to thank for not all of it, but for a massive part, because it wasn't just Gareth, obviously, but this is ultimately why he is getting that Knighthood. We have a massive thank to give to him, because he's put in such a good kind of visionary to the game. He's understood how to make winners here, and we can't be titled as winners yet. I get that completely, but what is happening is definitely a change. You know, we're such a better side compared, if you compare it to 10 years ago, or even less than that, like 5 years ago, if you like. You know, we're getting better and better each time. Having just the eyes and the mindset of Gareth Southgate during his time as England manager, and not just England manager, but his time at the England FA was so crucial for the day that comes when we finally lift that World Cup, if it comes, of course. There is that point of view that there should be silverware here. That should be what makes him have knighthood status. But I think from what I've said and what I've listed, that is my own point of view. Obviously, that is why he is getting it. You know, it's not necessarily the silverware here, but what he has done, you know, in terms of the behind the scenes, if you like, into this England team. Players felt unity from this setup, and like I said, they want to play for England now. It is an enjoyable thing to play for the England football team. Was it the same in 2010 or 2009? Probably not. You know, I'm going to say it probably wasn't. But anyway, that is me done for the video. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button for more content. I'm really looking to kind of getting people on here, creators, fans, what have you. Share your different point of views on different kind of topics in the world of football. And yeah, you know, I'm trying to build the community. I'm doing what I like. This is what I like doing, making football content. So yeah, please be a part of that and join me within doing that. Let me know also down below what you think, and share your point of view. Does he deserve this knighthood status? It would be really good to know. All the best, guys. Thank you very much. My name is Rob. Thank you.